I used to think anniversaries were about celebration, about remembering promises, shared struggles, and the quiet victories that only two people really understand. But that belief shattered on the night that was supposed to mark another year of our marriage. We chose a restaurant that held special meaning for us, a place we'd visited early on, back when we still talked about dreams instead of schedules. I got there early, feeling that good kind of nervous, and I had a small gift I'd spent weeks planning. It wasn't expensive, but it was thoughtful. I just wanted her to feel seen. She arrived late. When she finally walked in, she barely acknowledged me before her eyes started scanning the room. A smile only appeared on her face when she spotted some familiar faces from her social circle seated nearby. Almost instantly, her entire energy shifted. She became confident, loud, performative. At first, things seemed normal. We ordered drinks, made polite conversation, but then the comments started. She joked about how I always chose the safe options in life. She laughed about my career, calling it predictable. Each comment got a little chuckle from the nearby tables. I just smiled tightly, hoping she'd stop, but she didn't. When the waiter came over and asked about the occasion, she announced loudly it was our anniversary, and then added, "Can you believe he still thinks romance fixes everything?" People laughed. I felt my chest tighten, not with anger, but with this deep, familiar exhaustion. This wasn't new, the only difference was the audience. I tried to change the subject, but she just leaned into it, teasing me about my clothes, my habits, even the sound of my voice. Every remark was delivered like a joke, but I could feel the real intent behind it. She wasn't just teasing, she was diminishing me, piece by piece. And that's when I realized she wasn't unaware of what she was doing. She was enjoying it. Something inside of me just went quiet. I didn't interrupt her. I didn't argue. I simply waited. When she paused to take a sip of her wine, I gently set my glass down and stood up. The table went silent, partly out of surprise, and partly because I think something about my stillness felt different. I thanked her for coming. She laughed, probably assuming I was about to give some grand speech she could mock later. But instead, I told her that I remembered our very first anniversary, how nervous we both were, and how we promised to never, ever belittle each other, no matter how hard life got. I spoke calmly, evenly, without any accusation in my voice. I said I had planned a surprise for her that night, but not the kind she was expecting. I reached into my jacket and placed an envelope on the table. At first, she smiled, until she saw the seriousness on my face. I explained that inside were papers I had prepared weeks ago. Not out of spite and not for revenge, but out of self-respect. I told her I had spent too many years confusing patience with acceptance and my silence with love. The entire restaurant was silent now, no laughter, no clinking glasses, just silence. I told her I didn't hate her. I didn't even blame her entirely. That I could no longer celebrate a marriage where humiliation had replaced kindness. She tried to speak, but no words came out. I wished her well, picked up my coat, and walked away. Outside, the air felt different. It felt lighter. My hands were shaking, but my mind was crystal clear. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I felt honest. The days that followed were difficult. There were long conversations, tears, and attempts to rewrite that moment as some kind of misunderstanding. But once something breaks that deeply, pretending it's okay doesn't fix it. We separated quietly. Without that constant judgment in my life, I started to recognize myself again. I slept better. I laughed more freely. I stopped questioning my own worth every time I opened my mouth to speak. Months later, I heard she was telling people that I had embarrassed her. And you know what? She wasn't wrong. But for the first time, I understood something really important. Protecting your own dignity sometimes means disappointing someone who never protected it for you. That anniversary didn't end my marriage because of one bad night. It ended because I finally chose not to be the punchline in my own life story. And that decision, quiet, unexpected, and firm, was the most powerful surprise of all. If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories.